People always ask me why they call me the Drink. Well, here's what happened. Basically, I came back from the future. And this nigga said,
"You think you're the Drake, bitch? You're not even the cop. This nigga got a middle bump with a low taper.
this nigga's the Drink. This nigga's liquidity. He can't be a solid. Niggas call me the Drink.
They call him the what?
What is up, everybody? This is Mad Dog of Mad Dog Rants. This is a channel where I rant about anything from anime, sports, entertainment. It doesn't matter. And today I just kind of want to rant. I haven't ranted in a while. I haven't really posted on this channel with a full form video in a while. And I usually do these things. I kind of go off the dome. Like one time I did one on Rock Lee, stuff like that. And the reason I'm making this video is because there's been a meme circling around for about at least a month and a half, at least for what I know, because I don't really pay attention to everything on the internet. But it's one that's caught my attention because I've talked about this in the past, and that's Future Trunks, specifically the meme about him being the Drink. All right, and it got to the breaking point when my boy Poohhead actually posted something about him being the Drink as well. And Poohhead is somebody I really respect in the Dragon Ball community. If you like something more intellectual, more research-based, I would suggest you follow him. I'm going to put his stuff in the description below. But he tends to do more research-based commentary on Dragon Ball and other series like that. But I'm more of a off the dome ranter, just talking crap. And I know that. And it's not everybody's forte. But I did want to talk about Future Trunks. So without much more deliberation, let's get into it. Growing up being a big fan of Dragon Ball since the 90s, I was a super big fan of, the original Dragon Ball and its significance and the martial arts influence and the mystery and the storytelling, the character work. Everything concerning Dragon Ball. Like my favorite characters during that time were Kid Goku, Piccolo when he was Ma Jr., Tien Shinhan, Yamcha, anybody really in that original Dragon Ball space. And then growing up with Dragon Ball Z, of course, that blew up in the United States. Everybody had Dragon Ball Z on their folders, Gohan, everything. So I have so many favorite characters of Dragon Ball. And one character that really didn't catch fire with me was Future Trunks. But I understand the reason the entire fan base loved this character. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not blind to it. I'm not blind to the reason this character is popular. What just strikes me is, why is he so popular over this amount of time? Like, after people have grown up and done like character studies and information sessions about certain characters, the public opinion on people like Goku have changed. Vegeta has changed for people. So Future Trunks being this character that has just kind of stood the test of time despite not really selling himself as a great character, in my opinion. So let's get into it. Why is Future Trunks so popular? It's his design. It's the blatant answer. It's the most obvious answer, because you're not getting some stereotypical Saiyan out of Trunks. You're getting something different. You're getting something new. You're getting purple hair, laid down. You're not getting the black spiky unkempt hair from Goku, or like the straight up stereotypical Saiyan hairstyle that you normally get. You get, well, you might say blue or purple or whatever, but you're getting something different. And during that time in Dragon Ball, that was cool. You were getting a different type of Saiyan. We like Saiyans because, hell, Goku was the main character. Goku turned Super Saiyan, he fought Frieza. We were all for that. And then when Trunks came about, he had one of the most dynamic entrances of Dragon Ball. Probably the best character entrance in Dragon Ball. Just coming straight out with a sword, with a badass jacket. His whole outfit, his demeanor, it just, like the kids say nowadays, he had aura. And he beat Frieza very handily, which we hadn't seen yet. We haven't seen that level of domination to a major villain besides someone like Goku doing that. So this character was always going to be cool from the get-go. But, and this is probably just me speaking, but later on, his character, it does evolve throughout the story, but he just kind of seems to regress, in my opinion. He becomes this whiny kid. He becomes a vulnerable character. He's very sensitive in some types of ways. He's not a Vegeta-esque character or a hardened warrior, which is fine. That's indicative of his situation. We know that he comes from a future where he was basically his whole future was destroyed. So that's why he had to come back to the past. But for the things that people point out about somebody like Gohan in the future, where he's just like kind of not focused and he's kind of not like this serious warrior, Trunks kind of gets a pass for that. People just kind of let Trunks let Trunks be a little whiny without judging him too much because of his design. And I'm 100% sure it's his design because we have the same Trunks, the same character in the future in Super. And people don't like that version of Trunks. And the only thing that really changed was his outfit, the way they presented him. So in Super, they changed his hair from that purple, lilac, whatever you want to call that color, to straight up blue, like Bulma's hair, which is fine. It's kind of weird that, they would forget what color hair he has. But, hey, that wasn't the biggest departure from this character. When we last seen Future Trunks, he was all buff, swole, had the long hair. Of course, he got the haircut before he went back to the future. But we were expecting some growth. This man was coming from the future. He was supposed to be older. He was supposed to be more hardened. He was supposed to be this cool warrior. Instead, he was kind of placed in the same situation. He was running to the past, trying to get some help. And he was sporting that weird bandana thing that they've tried to pass off with other characters like Sonic the Hedgehog as cool. But it wasn't the same aesthetic. It wasn't something that was screaming cool anymore. It was the same character, yes. The same attitude, the same personality, the same type of story. But his character design was just a big departure from what we were expecting. And that's happened numerous times. So let's go back to Dragon Ball Z. Now you have Kid Trunks, who is supposed to be the older version of the baby that, Vegeta and Bulma had during the Cell Saga. So Kid Trunks grew up. This is actually my favorite version of Trunks, too. I will defend this version of Trunks over any other version of Trunks. But people didn't like this version of Trunks compared to Future Trunks because his attitude changed. He was a whole different character. He was a brat. He was Vegeta, but small, which made for a better character in my opinion. And again, circumstances were different. This Trunks grew up kind of entitled. He was the son of trillionaire and one of the strongest people in the universe. So he didn't have it as rough as the Future Trunks. Future Trunks, again, war-torn. He's going to be a little naive and kind of unsettled. But this Trunks, Kid Trunks, is what everybody refers to him as. He was spunky. He was very, braggadocious. He was sly. He's like, hey, Goten, People kind of distanced themselves from this version of Trunks. They kind of separated Trunks into different characters because they don't want to accept that Kid Trunks is Future Trunks. Which is cool. I mean, they did the same thing with Gohan. You take teen Gohan, as they call it, but, Gohan was 10 years old. And then you separate him from high school Gohan, you separate him from Super Gohan, and you separate him from Future Gohan. People love Future Gohan, and then that child era of Gohan they love. But they're not really in tune with the Super version of Gohan because he's like a big nerd or whatever. But, I mean, that's what he was supposed to be. So everybody can't be badass Goku. But that's not the point. This Kid Trunks was not Future Trunks. He wasn't as popular. He wasn't in the popularity contest. Nobody was like really fiending for this version of Trunks. He was just kind of overlooked. Really, people liked Goten more than they liked Trunks at that time. And I just didn't understand why. I like both Goten and Trunks. I can't really say I didn't like them. But I just didn't understand why this version of Trunks was overlooked. And then, of course, there's GT Trunks, which I haven't really touched on, Dragon Ball GT, because it wasn't canon at the time, or even if you want to consider it canon now. But it's a departure from both versions of Trunks, to be honest. This version of Trunks just had no swag, no aura, no anything. I totally get it. I hated this version of Trunks. He was a huge downgrade from any version of Trunks. It's like, what did you do to my boy, for real? You gave this man cargo shorts? That's the opposite of cool. Well, you know, I ain't gonna say that I don't wear cargo shorts. I wear cargo shorts. But this brother did not have an ounce of anything. He had no sword, no swag, no substance. He was lame. And they could have added some edge to him. They could have made him like more sly out of the trio with Goku and Pan. Like that whole dynamic was just weird. Making Trunks the responsible person in that group. It just made it weird. I get it. Goku was not going to be responsible. Pan, she's going to be like the damsel in distress. So you had to make Trunks the hero character who was smart or whatever. But that's not what we wanted from Trunks. It either had to be the future Trunks version that we got, or it had to be the kid version older, so he had to be some type of snarky, just kid with a bad attitude. I would have preferred that. But again, the character choices they made for GT, that's a whole different story. But, so just getting back into everything, that's why Future Trunks is so beloved. It's just his aesthetic has carried him to be this top tier character, and it's become again a meme nowadays. It's weird because Trunks hasn't been relevant really in the story since Goku Black arc, and they didn't even really like him in Goku Black. They love him because it was this one specific snapshot of Trunks from the Cell Saga, the Android Saga. Those are the two that they like. They like the short hair, jean jacket, capsule cord with the sword Trunks, and they also like the buff Trunks with the longer hair, either with the rip jacket from the movies or the traditional Saiyan outfit. They love that time window of Trunks. Characters aside, he was screaming at the top of his lungs, if you set those androids free, it'll be the end of all of us. He wasn't somebody who would jump into a battle. And most people like characters who would go and punch somebody in the mouth without asking questions, who's ready to fight. People don't really like the passive characters like Trunks or Gohan. But they love future Trunks because of his aesthetic. And that's pretty much it. That's where I wanted to get to, I know I've been ranting all over the place, but I get it. I get that people love the aesthetic of Trunks. Does his character carry him? I would love to hear from other people because, again, I have a bias against Trunks. I'm not the biggest fan of him. But just hearing from a future Trunks fan, is it just his aesthetic? Because I've asked people and they say, yeah, it's his aesthetic, of course. Or is it something more to Trunks that you enjoy? Because then again, there is another version of Trunks who doesn't really have a great aesthetic, but I feel like he has one of the best characters for Trunks, and that's Xeno Trunks. Xenoverse Trunks, the Trunks who, travels back in time and he's helping. I think that's like the perfect medium for Trunks to be in. Somebody who is going back and fixing the timeline and being somebody who is of importance like that. Trunks should have evolved into that character naturally in Super. They shouldn't have had to come back and help you with Goku Black. Maybe you needed a little bit of help, but you should have been the one to finish that off. And don't get me started with the whole Mai thing. The whole Mai thing ruins the entire character of Trunks, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say. So if you like this content and you want to see more, make sure to follow me on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. Everything's going to be in the description. That's enough for me ranting. Peace out.